Recently, I've been advised of a certain young viewer who watches these videos. Now, why somebody under the age of 18 is watching a grown man drink beer on the internet beats me. I blame his father. But anyway, Riley McGregor, this one's for you. Cheers, bud. Welcome back to ABV TV, where I drink beer on the internet and you watch. Today we are drinking a mid-strength or a low alcohol beer from the team up at Byron Bay, Stone & Wood. It is Stone & Wood's East Point. This one is a 2.7% session beer. This one has a nice light pale yellow straw color, a little bit of a white head there, probably a touch darker than straw, but you get where I'm getting at there with that one. Aroma wise, I'm getting almost a Berliner Weiss kind of an aroma to it, so I'm guessing the malt is very pale and Pilsner-esque. It almost has that's almost I would say a saltiness. Saltiness isn't quite right. It's a real fresh smell to it, which I know it's not much of a descriptor for beer and for aroma to describe it as fresh, but that's basically what it comes at. It automatically, when I smell this, I think of the ocean, and I think of sitting by the sea at a bar overlooking the ocean. It's nice. Look, I'm being lost in the memories of summer. Quite citrusy. Geez, you know what? I'm gonna lean towards it. This is a Berliner Weiss. Like, I know they're not calling it that. They're just calling it a low alcohol beer, but god damn, it tastes like a Berliner Weiss. It's a little bit lemon, citrusy zestiness to it. There is a little bit of a herbal kind of a flavor that comes through as well on the back end a little bit, but otherwise it's quite a for a beer that is a low alcohol mid-strength beer, it is quite full of flavor. Body wise, it's quite a light and very sessionable malt profile to the beer. A little bit of sweetness on the back end, or sort of under the tongue a little bit, but nothing too heavy. Like, this is a really good beer to have sitting on a Saturday arvo, just smashing schooners. And as I said before, like, it just automatically just took me to I can even picture it. It's you're at a bar, you're at the outside area, maybe it's a decking area or a beer garden that overlooks the ocean. I'm thinking, for those of you in Sydney, I'm thinking like maybe Coogee and the Coogee Bay Hotel is probably a good example of that. Or I can think of some bars that I've been to up around the Gold Coast that overlook the water, even down my way, Shell Harbour, Ocean Beach Hotel probably has that as well, the view of the ocean. But yeah, like a nice summer Saturday arvo, a group of friends, and just talking shit and knocking back schooners of this is how I picture it. That's just on the nose. I'm really impressed. So this is one of the rare occasions where I haven't had this before doing the video today. So it is a blind test and to see sort of how it is. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. I wasn't expecting what I got anyway. I was kind of more thinking it was going to be very much like, I was actually kind of thinking it's going to be like the Pacific Ale of Stone & Woods, but obviously a little bit lighter, or maybe even a bit like the Garden Ale, which I think is a session beer that I don't even know if they still do it anymore. It was in a light green can. That was a nice beer. But yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting. And this, as I said, like it's kind of it has elements of a Berliner Weiss, maybe even a Gose. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe it's more like a Gose. Because there is, and again, I don't know why, maybe I've just tricked myself into thinking salt and sea salt and what have you, and I'm just tricking myself into thinking that is what's in this beer. But yeah, maybe like a Berliner Weiss / Gose kind of a style. It's really, really nice. It's funny, sometimes I think you can easily trick your brain and your into thinking things that it may not necessarily be right. Because I started with an image of the ocean, I automatically thought of this beer being, having elements of saltiness to it, and that's probably a little bit unfair. There is something there, but I don't think it's salt. I think a lot of it is from that lemony sort of a zest that's sort of coming through, which gives it a bit of a kick that I just wasn't expecting. But yeah, it's funny how your brain sometimes just tricks itself into thinking things that it may not necessarily be the case. And I think, when it comes to, well, for me anyway, when it comes to beer, and I always like to try and assimilate a beer to an experience or a circumstance or an event or an activity. If you've ever gone through the website advocating beer variety, you'll see that all my beer reviews are usually will have some sort of element of matching this beer to an experience or something along those lines. It's very non-traditional in the way that it describes beer, and because that's what I think beer is. Like, I think when it comes to having those great beer experiences, sometimes the best beer may not be technically the best beer as decided by Rate Beer or Untapped or Beer Advocate. It's more the circumstance and experience that surrounds that beer. Like I've had some great beer experiences where the beer was probably secondary, but I remember that beer because of that experience, and you can tie the two together. I think I might have used the example on here in the past about being at the baseball, being at the Fenway Park to watch the Red Sox, and having a Goose Island IPA, which is an okay beer. It's a decent beer, but that experience of drinking that beer on a Sunday afternoon, watching the Red Sox, turned me into a massive fan of Gose Island IPA, and that's always stuck with me. I could say that the same for many things, but like Stone & Woods Pacific Ale. One of my favourite memories is at Woolloomooloo Bay Hotel, with friends, drinking pints of Stone and Wood starting at 10 o'clock on NRL Grand Final day, then going through to past full time of the main game, so 10:30 at night, something like that. But yeah, I just remember drinking Stone and Wood, watching lower grade grand finals, and I associate Stone and Wood Pacifica with that particular memory. I think it's just kind of fascinating how beer can do that, and look, it happens with food and things like that as well. But for us beer drinkers, that's what you can relate to. Your experiences with beer comes down to the experience and what was happening at that particular time. And as I said, sometimes the best beer may not be what is classified the best beer. It might just be a good beer made better by the experience. Anyway, I'm rambling. It's a good beer, is what at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that I'm really impressed with this beer. I'm glad that I gave it a shot, and I tell you what, this could be a regular beer that I may go to. I rate this really highly so far. It's delicious. It's refreshing. It took 10 minutes to get to that. The beer's refreshing. Stone and Wood East Point low alcohol mid strength beer. Go out and get him. You'll enjoy it.